Alright fellas, we are back in Pokemon Masters for the overview of this Kalos rerun banner. Yeah, Kalos Villain Arc rerun banner. Alright, this banner is honestly pretty good. I'd say it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's got value, like, okay, come on. Come on, man, this month is stacked. This month is so stacked. Oh, wait, no, this banner sucks. Never mind, I'm an idiot. No, this banner sucks. Alright, okay. I forgot about that little trick that they do. So, if we ever get a double feature PokeFair Scout, the characters are 1.5% rate, total of 3.5%. Or sorry, 3%. Yeah, I can count, my bad. If they have 3 featured units, they are 1.5% each, for a total of 4.5% total. Yeah, what the hell? If they have 4 characters, they're 0.5% each with a total of 2%. They get worse. Why? Brother, man, come on, bruh. Oh boy. So this scout is gonna feature Sygna Suit Diantha, Sygna Suit Lysandre, Anabel, and Emma. All of these characters are pretty good, but now that I'm thinking about that, for that total of 0.5% in that total, but the 0.5% pull rates individually, not interested. Though I was gonna say this banner has some pretty good pulls on it. Not that I'd recommend summoning, but yeah, no, never mind. Probably not great. Probably. I mean, there's a chance that they increase rates, but it's very unlikely. Let's just look at the characters. Sure. So, Sygna Suit Diantha, a character that is a very good character. Very, very good. I think she has... Does she even need Rock Zone extension anymore? I'd say she kind of wants it, but I don't know. I think it depends on the ally. Either way, this character's a Rock Zone setter. Her Rock Zone, she ties in her Buddy Move to her Rock Zone, which lowers enemy defense and raises ally defense. It does pretty good damage, too. It's not like the craziest move ever, but it can do some pretty good stuff. She's also got a good offensive stat here, with full investment, 414 attack, and 496 after Diance's Mega Evolution. I love that this uses the Mega Sprite. I think it's a Mega Sprite. No, actually, it might not be. No, it probably isn't. I don't know. Mega Diance and regular Diance look the same, so... Oh, yeah. Cool. I like the little sprite change. Anyway. Why am I so fucking amused by that? She's got herself the Rock Zone, which is increasing the power of her Buddy Move and actually activating it, and the Buddy Move actually debuffs defense as well, meaning a lot of Rock types like that. Most Rock types are physical. Not you, but they all really appreciate that. Regular Diantha herself, the new Lodge one, really likes that. Brock is a support. We got ourselves Champion Silver here as well. Obviously, really loving it. Paulo, really liking it. Very appreciative. You know, any other Rock type for the most part. This last, him, you, like these characters like it. They really like that physical enhancement on top of the Rock Zone. Her trainer move here, which reduces sync countdown, raises defense by whatever her defense is raised as, and applies gradual healing. When Mega Evolved, she also reduces sync countdown again and increases her physical moves next by 2. So she does have some pretty good like sync ability here, some healing, some special defense buffs are pretty nice as well. Pretty solid stuff all around. And in terms of her passive skills, she's got Trip Up here. Trip Up is good because she's got Cakewalk in the grid. I mean, she obviously is going to appreciate that. And the Rock Tomb for speed debuffing here. Honing Hit, which gives her attack and attack by 2 and crit by 1 whenever she does anything. So she's got infinite attack and crit buffing. Very, very good for self-sufficiency. And then Team Unbending, preventing defense debuffs. That is also very, very nice to have for sure. Gosh, I need water. There we go. All right, hydrated. Stay hydrated, people. Or else you'll die. So... decent enough base kit. She really wants to dupes though. The Rock Zone does not last long enough because of the fact that she's using a Buddy Move, which has a long animation and a lot of effects on it as well. Like, she's doing the trainer animation, she's using the move, it's debuffing defense, it's buffing team defense. It takes a little bit, right? And obviously with allies having Buddy Moves as well, it's going to drain the duration of this. So she's going to want at least 3 out of 5 where she can get Rock Zone NPR. But on top of that, she also wants her nuke, which is Scholar Sync 5 here, as well as Cakewalk. On top of the innate multiplier of having Rock Zone, this is a pretty good sync nuke. I don't think it's definitely not crazy, but it is a good sync nuke. It's a good sync nuke worthwhile to use, especially because she's got the Feel the X roll and she wants to set Rock Zone that way as well. And then at 5 out of 5, she ends up also gaining Rock Zone Extension, which is how she's going to be maintaining it for the entire duration of the fight. I want to see, maybe Rock Zone, Illusion, Breeze. That's so funny. Let me guess. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay. This is a character that can 14 out of 14 all legendary arenas. I'm gonna guess she just brute forces them. That's what makes sense to me. Teams Rock's on status immunity, Moltres being rock weak. I don't know how she handles Tornadus. I'm guessing she just brute forces it. That makes sense to me. Anyway, whatever. So, pretty solid grid, I would say. I mean, Catalytic Kick is nice for gauge. Mostly, though, you're going to want, like, this Rock Zone extension. This is very nice to have. Soften up one for guaranteed crits as well. And initial propulsion can be good on the Rock Wish if you want to chain that into a Trainer move, potentially, which can give you, obviously, that good effect of having a whole sync countdown just reduced. That can be helpful. Other than that, Rock Zone status immunity is pretty nice for preventing status conditions. Rock Zone trip twice, and also having another tripwire here can be decent for activating Cakewalk easier. Not required, but it could be helpful. I think this would have been better if it was just trip twice naturally. Yeah, she doesn't have trip up. She doesn't have any type of trip up other than, yeah, no, she doesn't have it at all. Oh well, that's fine though. But yeah, so good nuke, pretty easy to activate all of her stuff, and she can do some pretty good damage and work well with a lot of these characters. She doesn't have the best cohesion with Celine, but she sets Rock Zone, so at the very least it's something, for sure. And she works pretty well with Elio, despite the gauge probably being a little egregious. But, I mean, he can set a circle, he can set the Rock Zone as well. They're going to be having a lot of Rock Zone with themselves. Also Brock, the new Brock, if you can manage to pull him and invest in him and whatnot, he's also got pretty good... he's got Rock Zone setting on the sync move as well as having his own circle as well. I think he kind of struggles a little bit with gauge though. He does activate her multipliers, but again, gauge. So you're probably gonna want to bring a third character that can help like manage gauge, I would say, because Brock doesn't seem to. Yeah, no, nothing really to manage gauge too much. Ah well, that's fine. Anyway. With her Super Awakening, she gets extra stats. I mean, her attack is insane. Her defense is very, very solid. Her special defense is solid. Her HP is quite good. Like, the Super Awakening stats are nuts, obviously. And then she gets Head Start 1, Debut Rock Zone, and Ula Ula Ocean Breeze, giving her physical moves next every... It's not actually Ula Ula Ocean Breeze, but the way that they made these passes is just... It makes them more digestible. I don't even think Masters did it. I think they just put in these effects, and then people named them depending on what they already have in the... They already have, because this is the same effect as what Ula Ula Breeze does, right? Which is really funny. But basically, physical moves next every time a weather terrain or zone effect is activated when on the field. That's pretty damn helpful. It's buffing for all allies, and of course that applies to herself as well, making her damage just better. Then Debut Rock Zone is very good for not having to set Rock Zone on entry. You can extend it as well because of the Rock Zone extension, or, you know, maybe potentially like Elio's Rock Zone extension, and you can start using the Diamond Storm literally instantly. Just pump it out, get the defense buffs early, the defense debuffs early. That's nice. And then the Head Start 1, you can chain that into more sync countdown again off of like Rock Wish, Initial Propulsion, or the Trainer move, you know, whatever it is. You can do some sync countdown stuff with her. She's got pretty good sync countdown. So overall, pretty decent unit. Still a really, really solid unit, I would say. Being able to buff a lot of Rock type allies. Silver really appreciates it. Paulo, I mean, pretty much any physical attacker really, really likes Diantha as long as she's invested. Even Celine, who really just she prefers Elio for the most part as a support, but Diantha can provide her good buffs at the very least because of the Rock Zone as well. So they've got the bare minimum synergy there, I suppose. And again, the addition of the new Brock is quite good for her as well if you can get him to a high enough investment. Lysandre, we went over Ucine, and I mean, again, these characters are somewhat similar. I mean, they're both similar in the fact that they're just water strikers that are really just... They focus a DPS move and have a solid sync nuke, and that's kind of it. They don't really stray too much outside of that. Like, we look at Lysandre here. He's got Steam Eruption, which is a strong move, 188 max, like power up 5/5 here, with a 30% burn chance, made guaranteed by Hostile Environment 3. This guarantees his burns. Heat Wave, which mostly for fire on type damage, but you can also... You can do something with it, I don't know. Sure. Heat Wave again, it exists. Heat Hydro Pump, which is a 3-gauge, 1-use move. It's activated whenever enemies are burned. The power of the move is not lower if there are multiple targets. It applies super effective next to the user. It applies free moves next, and increases special moves next by up to 3, depending on how many burned enemies are on the enemy's field of play. That's pretty good, obviously. It's a pretty strong buddy move. It's definitely not as strong as like it used to be, because this was the era before Champion Marnie. Yeah, before Champion Marnie's good buddy move, Ray's good buddy move, like Nemona's strong buddy moves. It was after Ash, but Ash was like an outlier at that point. We didn't have like Arc Suit Lance or Sygna Suit Gladion or anything. I'd say that the like actual god tier status of this move has definitely decreased just because of the existence of a lot of harder content, but it's still a really good buddy move, especially. I mean, it's got 300 power, that's still really good, but it doesn't have like NPR, Sync Burst, or anything for it. Yeah, not even in the Super Awakening, he doesn't have it, so that does suck, but it's okay. It's honestly not that big of a deal. It's still a really good move, and he's still got really good damage. He's mostly given by the fact he's got Grand Entry 4 here, buffing special attack by 4, and training with being able to buff crit by 3 and accuracy by 1. Like, cool, right? Good self-sufficiency. But he's got Searing Surge. Searing Surge is a 50% sync and DPS multiplier for him. Obviously, that's really good. That's really good stuff. That's going to be buffing his sync damage, going to be buffing his actual DPS. Again, DPS looking good because of that already pretty high powered Steam Eruption here, and also multipliers on Heat Hydro Pump. Grid just expands on his damage. He does get other utility, like debuffing, the ability to never miss enemies, which can be useful in its own right. Like, obviously, we've got accuracy debuffing fights like Dana and Morgan, and also like Latias in the Legendary Arenas being stupid with the evasion. There's some fights that legitimately do appreciate a character having piercing gaze. And then he's got a few other things here, like mostly just like sync freebie, I guess. For utility. Everything else is just damage. Scorching Sync, Burn Special Boost, Raging Rain, Burn Synergy, Scorching Sync, Furious Brain, Super Sync, Heat Wave Super Duper Effective 9, Train with Brain Game. These are all damage increasing abilities. I've mostly selected the ones that you would kind of want anyway. These are just the best ways he can increase his damage. Let's just look at it. Yeah, that's a lot. Burn Synergy 1, Raging Rain 2, and Furious Brain are a total of 60% multipliers on top of the 50% he's got in Searing Surge that is going to Steam Eruption, Heat Wave, and Heat Hydro Pump. That's a lot of multipliers. Off of his really solid special attack stat here, 480, without Super Awakening, that is really solid. He can do some very good damage. And he also, on top of that, has the ability to debuff enemy attack and special defense. Attack's kind of whatever, it helps the team's tanking, that's nice, but the special defense is what's increasing the damage more, so that's a good effect to have. He's also got the Burn Boost Special with a 30% chance to buff special moves next when attacking an enemy that is burned. It's a 30% chance, which isn't that great, but I mean, it's still giving you that 30% chance of special moves next, increasing damage even further. And then he's got Sync multipliers, mostly just in the form of Scorching Sync 9, which is in its own right a lot, and then Scorching Sync 2. Okay. That is still really, really good. Scorching Sync 9 plus Scorching Sync 2 is 110% multipliers, and then he's got an extra 50% with Searing Surge. That's 160%, not that crazy, but then you can also give him Weathered Warrior, and he's going to be in Rain, and you can also potentially give him things like Super Sync or something. Which, granted, Super Sync is mostly good for like the damage challenge in a sync move, but still. That's pretty damn good. I think, like, I think one of Lysander's bigger issues is that he's not that great in the damage challenge. At least I don't think so. He needs burn multipliers, which is pretty annoying. You have to hit the enemy 3 times, and then burn is just worse than paralysis so many more times, so often. And then his nuke is just his nuke is fine, but not like absurd for sure. So I don't know. It's okay though. My Lysander is 3 out of 5 by literally pure fucking luck. And I'm honestly really happy about it. I love the unit. He's super fun. But yeah, this guy is super damage oriented. If you need a god tier water striker, this guy's here. But again, we've also got Yucine, who has better rates. I don't think Yucine is a better damage dealer than Lysander. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But they're pretty comparable. You can probably interchange them, and you're not going to get a massive difference, I don't think. At least not until Lysander's Super Awakening. Lysander gets 522 special attack at Super Awakening, which is pretty damn crazy. His defenses are decent, his HP's great, his 371 speed's fine. Mostly a lot of this. Burned opponent team moves up, giving ally ally move damage up. This is nice. The support, really, he appreciates that. It can be pretty good if you do want to run him with Champion Serena, giving her better damage on her water shurikens, or of course literally any character. I mean, Dahlia's Muddy Waters will appreciate that a little bit. Like in Bede and Variety Bede and his snipe shots will definitely appreciate the support. Mixed Leaf's Buddy move will appreciate the support, right? There's good areas for damage to be increased for your allies from this move, and also his own damage. Not that it didn't necessarily need the extra power. Head Start 1 is kind of a whatever tile. They just kind of pop it on there for fun. And then first hit Rainy, making Weather Rainy whenever his attack move is successful the first time each battle. That's fine. I think that's a very good ability for a combination of a team with Mixed Leaf. She really appreciates that Rain setting where she can preserve her sync move and max move. I think that's good. Outside of that, I don't think it's that crazy of a tile, but it really just frees up some of your potential rain-setting partners to be able to do other things for a few turns or whatever, while Lysander is actually able to set the rain. I think that that alone is a pretty decent, valuable ability to have. at least for most of these characters. Though a lot of them don't struggle too much to set rain, at least not multiple times. So, yeah. Lysandre is still a good striker, legitimately a good striker option, for sure. So, definitely not a bad one to pick up if you can manage to get him off these low rates. Yeah, just a lot of multipliers. Just a lot of multipliers to make him look strong, and not too much utility really outside of that, which we're kind of accustomed to with a lot of modern characters. The utility on these is insane. Anabel. Anabel's a pretty weird one, honestly. I need to get adjusted to looking at Anabel, pretty like her kit and whatnot, every time I just look at it all, because it's a lot to take in. She does a lot. She's a very good gauntlet support, 100%. I think she's decent for other game modes. I don't think she's insane, though. I could be wrong. She's got good, like, I think, a lot of her stuff is kind of focused on, like, shields, like crit protection, damage reduction, that type of stuff. Like, you can see it here. Applies crit hit defense, applies status condition defense, applies special damage reduction. She also has, I think, physical damage reduction somewhere in the grid. I don't even... Yeah, debut damage reduction physical. So, there's 4 shields she can apply. Oh, and she also has reflect. Yeah, duh. I was too focused in on remember seeing it in the grid. Anyway, it's fine. She's got headbutt for flinch chances, which is increased by aggravation in the grid here. Reflect, which is again applying that physical damage reduction. Protect for that damage guard, and then again this move here, which is giving you attack buffs as well. So cool. She does have a lot of shields, a lot of them, which means it's pretty good for tanking, frankly. Like, she's able to actually apply extra defensive utility to the entire team. She's able to apply crit protection without needing vigilance. That's pretty good stuff. She's also able to Mega Evolve and use... Mega Snorlax, god. She's also able to Gigantamax and use G-Max Replenish, which is giving you more uses of Reflect, Protect, and the Trainer move, all of which that's pretty good, frankly. That is pretty good stuff. And then with the passive skills here, she's got special defense buffing whenever she uses a move with a limited number of uses, which she's got 4 uses of here, and then 3 extra ones with her replenish, right? So you're going to be able to max out special defense. She's got a buff to all of her stats by 20% when effects that only apply to the eye field of the player are in effect. I think this just, again, gives her really good, a really good gauntlet ability, because obviously the defense buffs are going to be useful unconditionally everywhere, speed quite a bit too, but the offensive buffs, like the attack and whatnot, that is mostly good in the legendary gauntlet, where she's going to want to be actually doing damage and like not having to worry too much about sustaining for a longer period of time. I mean, if we want to look at it, also she's got the field EX roll, so really just so many field effects, man. If you want to look at her with an extra 20% buff, that's what, 340. So it's 34, 68. On top of that, yeah, that's like 410. Pretty much 410 special defense and like 400 basically defense. So not really much, there's not much discrepancy there, right? Point is, she's got good bulk stats for sure. I think one of her issues is that she doesn't buff her defenses super fast. Like, she only buffs special defense, and she doesn't buff defense really at all. At least not in base. She's got like shield on reflect here, but again, nothing really that absurd for being able to buff defenses. We do like max strike though. Max strike's nice. No, team max chilling strikes. That's what I mean. Yeah, I was looking at that. Okay, max guard's too. We like max guard. Max guard's actually pretty good. Anyway. Max healer here, also providing a 50% healed whenever she uses her max move. That's pretty good. She doesn't have, like... I think another thing that she kind of lacks is, like, her team healing. Team healing is not super crazy with this character. Her pretty much is just the sync move team HP recovery tile here. That's probably one of her bigger effects on why she's not super fantastic as a support, is because she just cannot provide a lot of healing to her team. And she's kind of built for a lot of longer fights. So she would really appreciate her allies being able to actually heal themselves, or like a double support setup where you can bring a support that actually also does provide healing for allies, or again a legendary arena setting where she is going to be a one-man army in a sense. I think that's equally fair. It would help if she had crit in that regard though, so she's kind of weirdly built I guess in that sense. So, and by the way, I mean, look at her offensive stat, 337 attack, 20% buff to that. This is going to be going up to 400. She's going to legitimately have an actual attack stat, which is funny. If we look in the grid, she's got a few other things, like max, again, we went over max shielding strikes, reflected here. This gives defense buffs to the team. Not too bad, honestly. It's decent enough on its own right. Reflect NPR 2, giving you more physical damage reduction and more defensive buffs. Catalytic acceleration for some gauge stuff. Team max, /sync boost physical, whatever. Buffing physical moves next whenever she uses her max move or sync move for the whole team. Sure. I think that's a fine tile. Nothing really crazy, though. The offensive enhancement, I guess, can be appreciated, though. Aggravation 1, one of her better tiles. Headbutt, like, flinches are just, again, broken. They're always going to be broken, so if you can have a character that can flinch, it's a pretty big plus for their kit. Trina moves to Critical Squad, buffing ally crit. This is actually how she buffs her crit, and that does work pretty well. Again, she's got 2 uses of it. You can give her extra uses if you pick up Trina with NPR. So, again, there's legitimately solid applications to be able to actually buff crit, max out attack, extra appliances of these shields and stuff like that, right? So, she can work pretty well in order to do all of those things. Charging Infliction 2 for a little bit more gauge stuff. Debut damage reduction physical. Ally field effect accelerate 3. Charging gauge whenever a field effect on the ally field of play is in effect. So, again, more gauge stuff. A little bit more of... yeah, mostly just gauge stuff, frankly. These 2 tiles and catalytic acceleration here. And then a little bit of healing. A little bit more stuff to set shields. She's very shield oriented. I think, again, one of her bigger issues is that she does not have like immediate team healing. I think that's one of her bigger things, and also not super fast on her defensive buffing ability. I think it could afford to have been a little bit faster for her. I think so. Also, she could have used a little bit better form of like gradual healing. Like healthy healing's not bad, but it could have been a little bit better. I think for her that she could have had something at least a little bit better. If she had like Team Fist Bump or something, I think it would have been a good addition to her grid. Super Awakening, obviously her stats go to absolute fucking high heaven. 1100 HP, 336 attack, like, or sorry, 366 attack. Like, my god, their attacks go to like 440 or something with their 20% buff here. 379 defense, 390 special defense. Again, like basically 450 to 480-ish defenses, give or take. It's pretty good. And then speed is there. Yeah, Super Awakening stats, cool. Max countdown 3, and then ally field effect team damage reduction. This is nice. This is a very good ability to have. I think this is very helpful for her. And then the max countdown, I think this would be good if it was max countdown 4, but I think max countdown 3 is fine enough as well. I mean, sync countdown on the max move is appreciated to not fuck with the team's actual sync countdown, sync acceleration, so that's nice. But I do like this damage reduction passive. She could have afforded to have another passive. Again, something like Team Fist Bump, or like just anything to provide probably better team healing, or maybe better like team defense buffing, I think would have been good for her. Or like offensive debuffs. Those would have been very nice. But for the most part, this is a good passive to have. That 20% damage reduction to the team, almost unconditionally. I mean, just for having shields up is good. And obviously the shields themselves apply damage reduction, so she will be working pretty well to actually keep the team alive and sustainable. For the most part, for the most part. So decent support, definitely. I think she's like a general catch-all type of support. She doesn't really focus in enhancing much, honestly. Like no rebuff, not really much in physical moves next, no sync move next, and stuff like that. Nothing really crazy there. She can work with normal zone with the field DX roll, but honestly, the big normal type teams honestly just prefer a better offensive enhancer than Anabel. At least I think so. Again, I could be wrong. But also at the same time, we're thinking about like Arc 6 Steven, who's just absolutely broken for literally everyone in the game. Oh boy, nuts. And then I guess we'll just end off here looking at Emma. So, Emma, okay. Emma. Emma's a character that is definitely not bad at all, but is definitely not worth going for with the massive recent additions that Poison got. I wouldn't say she got shafted because a lot of the buffs that Poison got were kind of gradual for the most part. And like actually outright replacing her. I mean, look, the existence of Oleana, Ariana, Sygna Suit Roxy, Gita, and Clara, those really just push down Emma down like the totem pole of like valued in order to get. Sadly, poor girl. It's okay though. But she's still good. If you can manage to pick her up and you don't have those other options, she's gonna be good. Mostly because of hello you. 50% chance to poison with Poison Fang. This is in order to activate her buddy move, which needs the enemy to be poisoned in order to actually be activated. It's deactivated whenever the enemies are not poisoned. It never misses, it's got guaranteed crits, and has a 10% chance to poison the enemy. I mean, good power, it's literally Hyper Beam level. And in the grid, she's actually got multipliers for it as well. Ramming speed here, Toxic Power 1, Toxic Power 3. These are good multipliers, similar to that of potentially like Lysandre, Sygna Suit Lysandre with all of his multipliers. Emma does pretty good in the same spot. 486 attack as well is a very good offensive stat. She appreciates the support role as well. She also has potions. These potions are nice. This is good ability to be able to heal herself, heal her allies, whatever. Great stuff for the gauntlet, obviously. Great stuff for being able to maintain team sustainability once your support's potions run out. It can actually, again, legitimately be helpful. Though obviously that does like hinder the amount of damage she outputs if you are using potions, but sustainability is pretty much always going to be better to have than offense in almost all cases, I would say. If you have to like choose between one or the other. And then here we go. We're trying to move buffing attack by 4 and speed of all allies by 4 as well. So good gauge management and obviously good offensive buffing ability, right? The guaranteed crits on the buddy move here is what is pretty helpful for her. She doesn't care to really crit on Poison Fang because it's Poison Fang. Like, what are you really going to do? But she does really like the guaranteed critical hits on the buddy move. She also does have, I think, critical sync. Yeah, critical sync landing, crits guaranteed on the sync move, removes the need for soften up 1, removes the need for crit buffing. She really just doesn't need it at all, and she works very, very well. I think she really appreciates having basically innate soften up 1. That's pretty nice. Toxic Freebie for some gauge management on top of her speed buffs. It's a 4 gauge move, right? So you're going to want to have some sort of gauge management. This is helpful for that. And then also having Head Start 2. This can chain in pretty well to giving her Head Start 1 as a lucky skill. You can do a full -3 sync countdown, and it can work out pretty well. Some sync acceleration, not bad for shorter battles, like battle rally stuff or champion stadium stuff or whatever it is. Sync ramping, we love to see it. Decent enough base kit. I mean, she's mostly working out the fact that she's just got guaranteed crits and a 276 power move, but the grid is really what's helping her out. Again, Toxic Power 3, Toxic Power 1, and Ramming Speed. These are good abilities to have in order to actually increase her damage by a good amount, again, off of this good offensive stat as well. You can see some very, very good damage come out of her because of that. She's also got Inertia here as a multiplier, and I think another one, yeah, Virulent Toxin. That's pretty much all of her sync multipliers. That's one issue I think I have with her, is that her sync is not that strong, all things considered, which is why I guess I can support, I can understand why they give her support as an EX role, because she's a bit more supportive, and you want to use her sync move, get some decent damage, but also you're now getting that support EX, giving it more value to actually use, obviously, as like a support EX sync over someone else who just doesn't have that strong of a sync move, right? Which, I don't even know who you would run as her support. I mean, I obviously like Gita, Emma, Arc Suit, Steven. That'd be insane, but yeah. The biggest issue I think Emma faces is like on modern Poison teams, she just cannot keep up with like the existence of Clara, Gita, and Sygna Suit Roxy, especially after Sygna Suit Roxy's amazing Super Awakening. Those are probably what hinder her the most, but still, she is a good option, a good damage dealing character. Other things she's got, like Toxic Hit, Speed Up, being able to guarantee raise her speed, Attack Up for being able to raise her attack. Again, if you just need these abilities, they're there, but supports can mostly cover that. Catalytic Kick for some more gauge stuff. The Team Evasive Maneuvers, this is one of her bigger gauntlet solo tools, being able to actually dodge enemy attacks. Also Ruthless Toxin for guaranteed debuffs. This is another tile that really guarantees her a lot of solos, or just really good utility as well. I mean, even outside of the legendary arenas, these evasive maneuvers is not that fantastic. I think it's good for like the battle rally, but that's kind of it. But she does really like Ruthless Toxin. Ruthless Toxin is very, very nice. Those debuffs are super helpful. Accuracy, defenses, offenses, super, super helpful. Also, of course, for deactivating things like Fluid Fortification, it's nice. I think it would have been better if she had like multiple debuffs, like maybe this Ruthless Toxin Plus or something where it debuffs enemy stats by 2 instead of just by 1. I know that passive exists. I don't know if it's called that, but it exists. Whatever. Venomous Sinkhole, being able to leave all enemies poisoned, so she can maintain uses of the buddy move even when like the enemy who's poisoned gets KO'd. That's good to have. And obviously she does want to actually attack poisoned enemies because of the Toxic Power and Virulent Toxin multipliers, right? And then Super Toxic for being able to apply Super Effective next when attacking poisoned enemies. She's going to be able to shred through pretty much any poison weak content. She's going to be good for like the Master Royal fight or whatever, right? I mean, she's going to be good. She's able to set poison pretty consistently, at least with the Venomous Sink all here, and being able to actually do a ton of damage because of like the Super Effective next and all of the just high-powered strength that she's got out of the cross poison. Potion NPR. Doesn't need much explanation. It can be valuable. It really can be. Master Healer as well, which is not limited to potion for some reason, even though she can't heal any other way. I don't think. Yeah, no. Okay, cool. And then like Rejuvenate 6 for some more gauge. Mostly everything else is kind of filler. The multipliers, Ruthless Toxin, Evasive Maneuvers, those are your big ones. Potion NPR, Master Healer as well could be quite good. Those are what you're kind of focusing on for the most part. Also, I guess Toxic Chance could be decent, but I think Toxic Chance could be decent if you were trying to attack an enemy with cross poison that is not poisoned. Then you can actually proc that pretty consistently. That could be decent. Anyway, in her Super Awakening, she gets over 500 attack. Yeah, Super Awakening is just so broken. This is a helpful thing for increasing her damage and her utility as well. Adrenaline's pretty nice. Just nice to have on top of her support EX Sync move. Adrenaline 1 as well in the grid if you want to potentially stack and chain that. That could be good. But also, rebuff first hit, rebuff, poison rebuff down, and then defense crush. She's able to debuff defense as well as lower enemy poison rebuff. Sadly, this can only apply to one target, but I think for the most part that's fine. But the defense crush, being able to debuff defenses, is another good enhancement for her as well. And if you want to run her with like Gita, because they have pretty good synergy with each other, then you can have more defense debuffs between these two characters. And of course the rebuff and on top of Gita's zone is going to make the team really strong. Again, Emma is a really good poison damage dealer. Mostly the problem with her is that she is stuck between other really good poison damage dealers, and she kind of can't keep up. I think that's her only issue, which, I mean, it sucks, but if you can pull her, if you can invest in her or whatever, you're going to get good usage. Just know that obviously it's going to be, I guess you could say worse than other characters, but it's just like, there are other better options. That's just all there is. It doesn't make these characters bad, it just makes them inferior to the best options. Like, being second best does not mean you are worst. Like, that's just how that is. I don't know. I'm sorry if a lot of these videos aren't too coherent. I am so tired. I have recorded, like, at this point, I've recorded like 8 videos in the past 2 days, which is not that crazy for a lot of people, I'm sure, but I talk so damn much in these that I'm actually starting to lose my voice, and I've got so many more to do. It's actually nuts. As of the time of recording this, as of the time of this video going up, it's going to be... When does this come out? The 12th. This video was recorded on the 2nd. Yeah, that's how far in advance we doing this shit. Whatever. I'll see you later. Hope you all enjoyed. Go look at your summon, go look at your skipping. I think this banner's got decent value in terms of its character selection, not really in terms of its pull rates. Probably going to be pretty bad pull rates. We hate that. Whatever. Peace.